My aunt accidentally sent me a voice recording of my whole family calling me a pathetic failure, even though I'd been paying their medical bills for years. "He's supposed to help us," they laughed. I stayed silent. Until the next payment was due. I never thought I'd be the guy with the nice car and fancy apartment while my family back in Millfield, Ohio struggled to make ends meet. That's just how life worked out. Name's Jake Wilson, 28, software engineer at one of those tech startups in Boston that actually made it. The kind that has free snacks in the break room and lets you bring your dog to work. Not that I have a dog. Too busy coding and sending money back home. It's weird being the success story in a family that always kind of expected me to be, well, ordinary. When I left for MIT on scholarship, my Uncle Bill clapped me on the shoulder and said, "Don't forget where you came from when you're rolling in it." Guess I took that too literally. For the past 3 years, I've been the unofficial family bank. Aunt Martha's arthritis treatments, covered. Cousin Derek's car accident hospital stay, paid in full. Uncle Bill's heart surgery last year, $30,000 I didn't think twice about sending. They always thanked me, of course. Christmas cards signed with, "We don't know what we'd do without you," and birthday calls that went on about how proud my parents would have been if they were still around to see the man I'd become. I believed them. Family is family, right? And when you're making 6 figures while they're struggling with medical debt in a town where the main factory closed down 10 years ago, writing those checks just feels like what you're supposed to do. At least that's what I thought, until last Tuesday morning, when my phone pinged with a voice message from Aunt Martha. Most days I'd listen right away, but I was in the middle of debugging some code that had kept me up half the night, so it sat there for almost 4 hours before I finally hit play. I couldn't have imagined what I was about to hear. My aunt's voice, suddenly clear as she apparently thought she'd ended the recording, but hadn't. "Did Jake send that money yet?" Followed by laughter that would change everything I thought I knew about my family. Peelers and Coopers. I grew up middle class, not rich, not poor, just somewhere comfortably in between. Mom was a high school English teacher, and Dad managed the local hardware store. They weren't perfect, but they taught me about hard work and helping others. When I was 19, they died 6 months apart. Mom from cancer, Dad from what the doctors called a heart attack, but what everyone knew was a broken heart. Their insurance barely covered the funeral costs. After that, Aunt Tharda and Uncle Bill became my surrogate parents. Marta is Mom's sister. Shorter, louder, with the same laugh but none of the subtlety. Bill works maintenance at the community college, always with grease under his fingernails and a story about some student's ridiculous mistake. Their kids, my cousins Tina and Derek, are a few years younger than me. Tina's a hairdresser with 3 kids of her own now, and Derek bounces between jobs, usually construction or delivery driving, depending on the season. When I got the job offer in Boston, I almost turned it down. Millfield was home, small, familiar, comfortable in its limitations. But Martha herself packed my bag, saying, "Someone in this family needs to break the cycle." So I went. My first big bonus check I sent half home when Uncle Bill mentioned needing dental work. It became a pattern after that. Medical bills piled up as everyone got older, and my salary kept climbing. Perfect solution, I thought. I set up regular transfers for the big stuff. Uncle Bill's heart medication, Aunt Martha's arthritis treatments. Created a special email address just for their medical bills. They'd forward the paperwork and I'd handle it without question. Even flew home twice when things got really bad, once for Bill's surgery and again when Tina's youngest broke his leg falling out of a tree. Every time, the gratitude seemed genuine. The hugs felt real. That Tuesday started like any other day. Alarm at 6:30, 2 cups of coffee while checking emails, shower, and then the walk to the office. Boston had turned that perfect fall corner where the air gets crisp, but it's not freezing yet. I just settled at my desk when my phone buzzed with Martha's message. Didn't think anything of it at first. She often sent voice messages instead of texts. "These old fingers can't type worth a damn on these tiny screens," she'd complain. When I finally clicked play during lunch, Her voice came through clear as day. "Jake? Honey, it's Martha. Just checking if you got my email about Bill's new medication. The doctor says it's not covered by insurance, and you know how it is. Call me back when you can." The message should have ended there, but it didn't. There was rustling like she was putting the phone down, thinking she'd hung up. Then voices in the background, growing clearer. "Did Jake send that money yet?" That was Uncle Bill's gruff voice. "Not yet, but he will." Martha laughed, that familiar cackle I'd always found comforting before. "He always does." "Our golden goose." That was Derek, snickering. "Pathetic, isn't it?" Tina chimed in. "All that money, and what does he have to show for it? No wife, no kids, just work and sending checks to us?" "Well, he's supposed to help us," Martha's voice again, followed by more laughter. "Family obligation and all that. Remember when he was a kid and said he wanted to take care of everyone when he grew up? Be careful what you wish for." More laughter. Crueler now. "Harvard boy thinks he's so much better than us, but at least we know how to live." Bill again. "To Jake." Someone, I think Derek, made a toast. "The successful failure." I sat there, sandwich halfway to my mouth, as the recording finally cut off. The office noise around me faded to a dull hum. I played it again and again, each time hoping I'd misheard or misunderstood, but the words remained the same. Pathetic failure. Golden goose, supposed to help us. I didn't finish my lunch that day, or my work. Somehow I made it through the afternoon meetings, nodding at appropriate moments while their voices echoed in my head. By 5, I'd called in sick for the next day and was walking home in a daze, the recording playing on repeat through my headphones. Each listen revealed new daggers. Tina laughing about my empty apartment, the one I kept sparsely furnished because I was sending her $1,200 0 cents last summer for her gallbladder surgery. Derek mocking my lack of social life, while I worked overtime to cover his kids' dental work. And Martha who hugged me at Christmas and said I was the son she never had, toasting to their golden goose like I was nothing but an ATM with legs. That night I pulled up my bank statements. Over 3 years, $93,427 0 cents in medical bills, emergency funds, and loans that were never mentioned again. Uncle Bill's heart surgery alone was $32.66. I remembered sitting in the hospital waiting room for 14 hours, terrified I'd lose him too. He'd squeezed my hand afterward and whispered, "You're a good boy, Jake. Your parents would be proud." Was it all an act? The question kept me up all night. I scrolled through texts and emails searching for clues I might have missed. Found photos from last Thanksgiving. Me surrounded by family, everyone smiling. Had they been laughing at me then, too? I almost called Martha a dozen times, drafted angry texts, composed emails detailing everything I'd sacrificed, but something held me back. The raw, primal part of me that had been wounded didn't want to give them the satisfaction of seeing me hurt, so I stayed silent, watched the sun rise over Boston Harbor from my balcony, the pretentious view Derek had apparently mocked behind my back. 3 days passed in the fog. I went through the motions at work, came home, stared at walls. My phone pinged regularly with the usual family requests. Martha needed her prescription refilled. Tina's kid had another doctor's appointment. I read each message without responding, something I'd never done before. On Friday night, I pulled up my calendar and saw it circled in red, Bill's heart medication payment due in 13 days. $467.89, automatically scheduled from my checking account. Next to it, a note about Tina's outstanding physical therapy bills and Martha's upcoming specialist appointment. Over $2,000 in medical expenses I'd committed to covering in the next month alone. I poured myself a glass of water, thought about making it something stronger, but decided I needed clarity and sat down with my laptop. The rational part of my brain said to cut them off completely. They'd been using me. The emotional part remembered Christmas mornings at Martha's after my parents died. how she made sure I had presents under the tree even when money was tight. Could I just stop paying? The thought made my stomach twist. What if Bill's condition worsened without his medication? What if Martha's arthritis flared up because she couldn't afford treatment? Despite everything, I couldn't bear the thought of them suffering. But continuing as if nothing had happened wasn't an option either. That's when the plan started forming. Not revenge exactly, not built that way, but a lesson. Something to make them understand what they were throwing away. I wouldn't say a word about the recording. I'd just stop. No explanations, no angry confrontations. I'd let the payment deadline come and go. The calls started on day 3 of my silence. First Martha, then Bill, then Tina. Casual at first. Just checking in. Haven't heard from you lately. I let them all go to voicemail. By day 5, the messages took on a hint of concern. Are you okay, Jake? It's not like you to disappear like this. I went about my life as normally as possible, threw myself into work, even agreed to a happy hour with coworkers, something I usually skip to catch up on family emails. Sam from marketing asked if something was different. You seem lighter somehow, she said. I just shrugged and changed the subject. 8 days in, the tone of the messages shifted. Jake, I sent you that bill for Bill's medication last week. Did you get it? Martha's voice had an edge now. I saved each voicemail meticulously, adding them to a folder on my phone. Day 10 brought panic. 3 calls from Martha before noon. Jake, we really need to get this prescription filled. Bill's running low. Is there a problem with the transfer? Call me back, please. By day 12, the pretense was gone. Listen, Jake, I don't know what game you're playing, but your uncle needs his medication. This isn't funny anymore. Martha's voice cracked slightly. Part of me wanted to call her back immediately, to apologize for worrying them. I put my phone in a drawer instead and went for a 5-mile run. The deadline came. My phone exploded with notifications, 10 missed calls within an hour, texts growing increasingly desperate. I finally answered on call number 11. Jake? Oh, thank God, where have you been? We've been worried sick. Marta's voice was breathless. Hi, Aunt Martha. I kept my tone casual, professional almost. Sorry about that. Been really busy with work. But Bill's medication. The payment didn't go through. He's down to his last 2 pills. I took a deep breath, counted to 3 silently. Yeah, I've been meaning to talk to you about that. I'm making some changes to my financial commitments. Silence on the other end. Then, what does that mean exactly? X. It means I'm reevaluating who deserves my support. I paused, letting the words sink in. It's interesting what you learn about people when they don't know you're listening. Another beat of silence, then a sharp intake of breath. Jake, what are you... The voice message, Aunt Martha. You didn't hang up. I heard everything. About being your golden goose, about being a pathetic failure, everything. The silence that followed was the loudest I'd ever heard. Martha's denial came first, confusion, then backpedaling, then the inevitable, you misunderstood. When that didn't work, the tearful apologies began. We didn't mean it, Jake. We were just blowing off steam. You know how much we appreciate you. I let her talk herself out. The next day, Uncle Bill called. His approach was different. Gruff acknowledgement with a side of justification. Everyone vents sometimes, Jake. Doesn't mean we don't love you. I scheduled a video call with all of them for Sunday evening. Told them I'd discuss my new financial arrangements then. They all logged on 5 minutes early, faces tense. I didn't yell, didn't cry. I simply played the recording back to them, watching their expressions shift from defensive to embarrassed to genuinely ashamed. Tina, I said calmly when her eyes welled up, When you said I had nothing to show for my success, I was paying your physical therapy bills that week. Derek, I continued, while you were mocking my empty life, I was approving an extra transfer for your daughter's braces. Martha couldn't look at the screen. Bill studied his hands intently. 3 years, I said finally. 3 years and almost $100,000, not because I had to, because I wanted to, because I thought we were a family who supported each other. The silence that followed felt like a funeral for something that had died without my noticing. I didn't cut them off completely, that's not who I am, but things are different now. The payments come with conditions, transparency, respect, acknowledgement. Our conversations have an honesty they lacked before. Sometimes betrayal doesn't end relationships, it rebuilds them, with stronger foundations. I'm not their golden goose anymore. I'm just Jake, finally